Atlassian community event, Greater North America. It's exciting to see our community members coming together again. Even if you are first-time attendee or returning community member, thank you for investing your time with us. Today's session is all about turning knowledge base into a strategic asset. And we all know that knowledge is power, but the knowledge that is captured, structured, and shared effectively, that is true impact. So with that, I'll hand over to Sammy and let's share the knowledge. If you think you have questions, put it in the chat. And if it's a big question, just ping me and I'll make you at the moderator mode and you can ask your question. Sammy, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for letting me join you this evening. I really appreciate it. I know that it's kind of later in the day for you guys. I'm just getting started. I've got an iced coffee, and this is a really awesome way to start my day. So I have been part of the Glyphy team for 6 years now. And Glyphy is a diagramming tool that works in the Atlassian ecosystem. We're actually the first diagramming tool in the Atlassian marketplace. And I regularly talk to users who don't realize that Glyphy isn't just an out-of-the-box part of Confluence. So that being said, we actually did a little rebrand this year. And so I'm going to do a quick little reintroduction. We have a purple color. We used to be blue. It's super fun. And we're owned by Perforce Software, which delivers solutions across the DevOps cycle. We're the only product in Perforce's portfolio that's really deeply rooted in Atlassian, but we have huge customer overlap. Glyphy specifically is the leading choice for enterprise teams who want to make diagrams in Confluence. We back that up with a lot of security priority. We're the only diagramming app that's SOC 2 Type 2 credentialed, and we make sure that we stay in lockstep with Atlassian when they invest in those types of topics. We also make sure Glyphy is really easy to use and administer because you do not want to suddenly be responsible for onboarding like 5,000 users to a new product. We try and be as simple out of the box. But that is kind of enough about who we are. I'm going to say something a little controversial, which is I want my users to spend less time in Glyphy. And you won't find many product managers that are willing to say that. There's a little asterisk here that my marketing team made me throw in, and that is per diagram. I also feel this way about documentation in general. Like the bigger picture here is I want teams to spend less time creating and maintaining documentation without compromising on quality. And when we talk about knowledge management, knowledge exists as kind of this floaty thing in our heads and across our teams. When we don't structure it, you are constantly at risk of losing it. Whether someone takes a vacation or a leave or leaves your company, the knowledge that they have in an unstructured state in their brain goes with them. And so when teams are investing in creating documentation, what you are really doing is making that tacit knowledge extremely digestible and really easy to share. And we don't talk about how AI has made this even more important. If you're starting to use Atlassian Intelligence or Rovo in your Atlassian space, it's querying all the knowledge, all the documentation, all the stuff that you have taken from abstract and made concrete. And so even more than when I first developed this talk about a year ago, this is an extremely important topic so that you can make sure you're feeding your tools and your team with the right type of content. So whether you are creating internal documentation, planning a new feature release or a marketing campaign, or building your JSM knowledge base, understanding what your team can do with your Atlassian products is going to go a long way. And I have a few examples, just reference that I can walk you through. So first example we're going to focus on is an IT help desk. We are hearing a lot about how Atlassian products work best in concert with one another. So JSM and Confluence and Jira all working together. And this is one of my favorite examples of how knowledge across products can really help your team and your organization. JSM, Jira Service Management, is, as we know, an awesome choice for like a help desk use case. And users can quickly create tickets in JSM that your internal team can then appropriately pick up, which helps you serve users more quickly without missing a beat. So within Confluence, there is a way that you can link these two together. One outcome that is even better than effectively handling tickets is being able to deflect them, supporting the idea that you don't need to create a ticket to solve your problem. You can help a user help themselves instead. And JSM has a really basic knowledge base function out of the box, or you can link it to a Confluence space, which has some more robust options and features. When you link it to a Confluence space, there are some really great opportunities, such as users without JSM access can still help you maintain that documentation, update things, keep your docs updated. You get more formatting options to create visually engaging content. And when you have marketplace apps like Gliffy, you can even add diagrams like an interactive flowchart that a user can literally click through to figure out what the appropriate steps are without needing to set up that ticket in the first place. So here is an example of what an organization's guidance on phishing might look like in that JSM knowledge base fact structure. It's not super engaging, but if a user sits down and reads it, they'll get the information that they need. I'm trying to get my video to go here. All right, and this is what it could look like if you manage it in Confluence and add just a little bit of polish. Already at a glance, you can see this is a bit more engaging, and Atlassian's own research shows that when pages have graphics, color, clear hierarchy like this, they are more memorable and more frequently used. So if you manage a team of help desk agents, you want that documentation to be memorable and more frequently used because that means it saves your team time. And then if we take time to do an extra 10 minutes to bring this experience to life, here's where I'm trying to get that video to go. There we go. So if we take a little bit of extra time to bring this experience to life, we can add a Gliffy diagram. And so right here, I'm going to pull up this, what should I do if I receive a phishing email? This is the action that a user would need to take. And so trying to put this information further up on the page is going to help you deflect tickets more frequently. You can have what is phishing. If I'm going to this page, I probably know what phishing is. What I'm looking to do is take an action. And in here, I am creating a diagram with Gliffy's Create with AI feature. All I need to do here is type in my prompt, and we use a OpenAI mini model 4.0, I believe. We have a little bit of fine tuning that takes place here, and we can go ahead and click that Create Diagram button. It will spin up a diagram. Now, this diagram is going to be generic in nature. It's kind of creating a standard process, but this is a lot faster than starting from scratch. And specifically, now that we've had this feature in the market for a little while, we're seeing that users save their diagrams 3 times faster when they use the Create with AI feature to start documenting their knowledge. I did see a do Gliffy provide any magic way so people invest time in putting their knowledge in Gliffy? I would say getting a diagram done 3 times faster is pretty close to magic. I have absolutely loved using this AI Create with AI feature. Now on the back end, this is actually generating Mermaid code. It's a diagrams as code format that's similar to Java. And so when you generate this diagram with AI, you can either modify the code, if that's what you prefer. We have some hands-on keyboard type folks, or you can convert it to a fully editable Gliffy diagram. So here you can see I just quickly updated that diagram with code. By the way, we will have some extra time. I'm happy to go into like live demo mode with Gliffy, and we can kind of see how this tool handles any requests that you guys want to throw at it. So this diagram could even be interactive so that the user could click their way through these steps, help them complete that task more specifically. I might have time to do that demo live as well. So putting yourself in the shoes of the user, think back to that page of text versus this graphic and this more visual approach to the documentation. If you are getting phishing attempts as often as I am, knowing the appropriate steps to take are really important. And even so, this is this deeper integration of Glyphy in Confluence used in your Jira Service Management knowledge base can help you deliver an excellent service experience and ultimately save your entire organization time and, in this example, risk from people not knowing what to do with a phishing email. So a different example is, say you're building a product feature and you're going to launch that product. This is near and dear to my heart. I am a recovering marketer that moved into product management. It's hard to stay out of marketing land sometimes. And so launching a new feature obviously requires a lot of great communication and collaboration across both technical and non-technical functions within your organization. You have the product team defining goals and outcomes. You have engineering delivering a release, trying to give an updated estimate of when that's coming. You have marketing on board to create some buzz, and then you have tons of supporting teams like sales and customer support that need to understand what's being built, why, and how to talk about it to customers. And this is a great job for Confluence. A recent study by ESG and Atlassian found that effectively using Atlassian's tools allowed knowledge workers to find information in half the time. That saves teams hours every week. So Confluence is the ultimate hub to capture it all. Now, there are two watchouts here. This is Confluence, but basic. Again, this page could really easily become rambling, text only, really boring if we don't give it some love. And second, this page has to serve a lot of different audiences. You've got both the technical and the business folks associated with this feature launch. They're watching this space. So with a little bit of help, you can go from this to something like this, which creates a more engaging and supportive experience for all your project stakeholders in record time. I did get that video moving this time. Great. So a few key components to call out here. We've got diagrams on the page. We have some collapse and expand elements. So if I don't need to know about the API structure for this feature, we can collapse and expand that. We have clear sections. So like a technical requirements section, using different panels here. Lots of options to just make this not a wall of text and help users find the information that serves them best. Now, I have a couple fast tips to help you guys get to great content in just a few steps. The first up is using templates. I am a huge fan in my work of the out-of-the-box project plan template that's available in Confluence. It has a really nice like RACI chart at the top, so you can immediately tag the people who are responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. It also has like project target dates, milestones, etc. So definitely recommend that one. Atlassian's formatting options just out of the box are really impressive. Almost all the examples I showed for you guys are just out of the box what Atlassian provides from a formatting perspective. One of my favorites is info panels. That's what puts a block of color behind the text on your Confluence page. So I think that's really great to call out like a summary or a clear goal that you really want every single person on the page to retain. And then small graphics, even just emojis, give extra visual cues that make a page more scannable so that users can find the information that they need. And again, Atlassian has researched this quite a bit. they find that taking the time to add these types of elements makes that content more memorable. You also probably have extra macros in your environment. So you can explore those options by typing the magic / command if you're in cloud. / Glyphy is what launches my app, but there are a lot of awesome marketplace vendors like Content Formatting Macros by Adaptivist and Optics by Kaler are two really great marketplace apps that I've used that beyond Atlassian's kind of design options, they give you even more where you can make really gorgeous content in Confluence. And then I'm long-winded. Creating a summary at the top of every Confluence page helps users find what they need and helps them identify that they're in the right place. With Rovo, you can do that really easily. Just a quick summarize this page for me and you're in good shape. Also an awesome idea to start your first draft by working with AI. I shared in my product, we see that when users use that AI feature, they get from a blank page to a save faster. Same goes for Confluence. I don't have the data on that, but being able to get past that blank page is a really big win for any team, even if you're good at writing. And I see a question here from Sanvi. When building out Confluence pages, it's often a challenge to decide how much detail should go into diagrams versus explanatory text. From your perspective, what's the best practice to strike the right balance so that the page is visually engaging and easy to consume without overwhelming the reader? I love this question, and I think it kind of depends. I am really optimistic about my ability to get into the product in just a minute here and show you how I might solve this problem. High level, I think if you are taking the time to make a diagram, you need to say, number one, like, who is the most important person that is this audience? If it is a developer or an engineer that needs to understand the actual details to go be effective at their job, then yes, your diagram should be pretty detailed. If it is a overview diagram to explain to your sales team what you're building, higher level is better. And so the number one question as you're taking time to create a diagram is, who is this for? Now, I have an idea on how you can serve multiple audiences with a diagram that like I said, I'm optimistic we can get there. So let me keep rolling here and then we'll try and get into the live product. And I think that'll be really fun. I also saw a question, do we have a way or AI suggesting to prioritize which diagram templates or shapes to add next? Not AI, but I can show you that one as well. Again, really optimistic about sneaking into the product shortly here. I think this is one of my last slides. Speaking of fast, working quickly, I lost my segue here. I'm really excited to talk about this AI feature because in each of these tuned up examples that I've shared with you, it has helped create that documentation faster than ever. If my goal is that users spend less time building diagrams and less time building documentation, big picture, AI really is the most promising way for us to cut down the time required to capture this knowledge. So in Glyphy, you can use AI, and I'll have an example here. All this does is give you a head start on a diagram. It's better than one of our out-of-the-box templates and allows you to generate that diagram again from Mermaid code to get you just beyond this blank page where you're dragging and dropping 20 shapes and trying to figure out how to format it into a really functional starting point. We have hundreds of templates available in Glyphy, and there are some really odd ones available in there. I'm aware of one that's like a flowchart of the user journey of falling in love with Lady Gaga. So I don't know why some of those templates exist. I really think this AI feature is much more compelling in terms of getting you started with something valuable and close to what your team is looking for. So in this case, we have a UML class diagram for a banking system. And this would help your team think through the different relationships that your software needs to support, the different pieces of data and how that data is structured. And it can help make sure that as you're building something or as you're refining or editing something, you're taking all of these different use cases and pieces of information into consideration. I might have one more example here. Yep. So in this example, we are an engineering team that's working on a piece of software. Oh, this might be duplicative. Nope. So last one was a class diagram about a banking team. This one is a software that's going inside an ATM. And so this is a sequence diagram, which shows kind of the process of where data is going. The user's interacting with the ATM, who's interacting with the bank to get the information and take the actions that are required. And this type of sequence diagram is really helpful for a team to think through the different scenarios that the ATM software needs to be able to handle, the different connections and ways information needs to be shared in order for it to get a specific job done. All right, so those were my two examples. High level, leverage your integrations and marketplace apps across Atlassian products. That's where you see that 50% time savings as referenced in the ESG study. That's where you've got a lot of potential efficiency and a lot of opportunities to really win. Spending a few extra minutes to prioritize your content organization and formatting makes that content more memorable. It's also honestly just a little bit more fun. And then from an AI perspective, using it to start and finish building documentation is a really great efficiency gain that's available to your team. Whether you have Rovo or you're pulling things in from a different agent, we're using Copilot a lot here at Perforce. Whatever that option is, stop starting from a blank page. So those are my 3 high-level tips. I'm not seeing any new questions in the chat. Before I pivot into like live product, anyone have any questions? Okay, I just saw my org is still on Atlassian DC instance. What features will be impacted in Gliffy as we don't have Rovo or AI? You're correct. You won't have Rovo or AI available. What you can do, a hack, if your IT team allows it, please don't do anything they haven't said you can do. Gliffy in Confluence Data Center does have mermaid diagramming, which is that diagrams as code functionality. And you can use a separate AI tool in your browser to generate mermaid code really easily, then pull that into Gliffy. So that is kind of a hackish way you can get a head start. I think I'll have time to show that one as well. Just a time check. I've still got like 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get out of this screen share and let me hop on over to my other demo page here. And we can kind of walk through some of this stuff. All right. So, yes, if I can show what stuff looks like in DC. So I have right here a great example of an existing class diagram. This is the type of thing that you could generate in OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Copilot. You might even be able to do it in Rovo. I've had kind of a spotty experience in terms of asking Rovo to create mermaid code. But from here, I can copy this code. And whether you're on data center or cloud, adding the Gliffy macro, this launches the Gliffy editor. I'm just going to do create. And from here, we have these different options on the side panel. So the classic way of diagramming with Gliffy would be dragging and dropping your shapes. So dragging, there's your start. Here's where step 1, and quick Command D to duplicate. Step 2, you guys have gotten pretty fast at this over the past 6 years. We have these arrows and connectors, and that's how you would kind of draw out your flow. So that's the old way of doing it. And you can see I've barely even built a diagram. That took me a couple seconds. With our AI feature, that's under these spots here. If you're in Data Center, you just won't see this option. But you should see this Create from Code or Build Diagrams panel. And in here, you can paste in your mermaid code. So I was pre-generated, just pasting that in. You can see I've got a class diagram, and it gets quickly generated on the page. This is mermaid, and so you can see it's true as one big item. If I want to edit this as a standard Glyphy diagram, I would click this Convert to Glyphy. This is a breaking change. So just something to be aware of. If I've converted my diagram to a standard Glyphy diagram, then I can do stuff like this. I can change the color of my shapes by just clicking into this panel, all that sort of work. Double click to say step 2, call IT. That drag and drop and what you see is what you get style editing is the classic Glyphy approach. Now with a mermaid diagram, when I double click, it pops me into this editor area over here. And this is where I would change something. So I'm not an awesome expert at mermaid, but let's say for some reason I felt strongly about using the word customer instead of user in this scenario. Now I have to go through and find all of my references of user and change this to customer. And you can see this is live updating as I make my changes. All right, that looks good. It looks like I got all the scenarios there. I'll click Update Diagram. And here on the canvas, we've got that diagram updated now. So again, if you are on Data Center, the hackish way that you can create your own templates with AI is separate browser, do your own thing. Your prompt should be along the lines of, please help me create a mermaid diagram that describes blah, 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 blah. And then when you're feeling satisfied with that, you can paste that code into Glyphy like I just did and make any modifications from there. The other thing that's interesting is if you don't know how to modify mermaid code like me, you can take that code, put it back into your AI client and say, can you please add or change this thing? And I've seen ChatGPT handle that really well. I'm a little bit less confident in Copilot. But working with ChatGPT has been a huge win for me as someone who does not know how to write mermaid code. So yeah, please give that a try. Open to any feedback or questions that you might have following that one. So the other item that I wanted to show you guys was interactive diagramming. We talked about AI quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and close that one without saving. We'll get rid of that draft. And I have a start on an interactive diagram available right here. It takes a little bit of time to set this up, but we talked about diagrams serving different audiences. And this was an awesome question from Sanvi. And I said, yes, it really does depend on who your target persona is. So the example diagram that I have here, I'm going to show you what's happening behind the scenes. Let's delete that little star. I have different layers. I have a new structure and a current structure. And our current structure is actually hidden under this new structure right now. So say you were a team that was proposing a change and you need to explain this change. In this case, the team is making a change to the permission structure of this product specifically. So here's my current structure. On a separate layer, I've created my proposed new structure, which has like a view permissions and an edit permissions component here. Both of these are different layers in the product, and I'm hiding by toggling this eye icon. So right now in the Glyphy editor, I can kind of consume like, okay, here's what we're currently at and here's what's proposed. But I'm editing this diagram. And when I think about how people use Glyphy, you've got one person creating documentation that's consumed by a dozen people. So having all of this in the editor isn't helpful. And this is where our interactive diagramming function comes in, and it's really cool. So in addition to these new or these diagrams, I have a base layer here. And all I have on this base layer is my current structure and my new structure. And using our layer linking function, I'm creating interactivity for the viewers of this diagram. What that means is when someone clicks this current structure icon, I've gone and I've used the layer linking button here. And so you can see when current structure is selected, it displays my base layer and my current structure layer. Go ahead and save that. When new structure is selected, it displays my base layer and my new structure layer. So all that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my current structure and base layer. We'll save this and we'll jump back to the Confluence page and I'll show you what this looks like for a viewer. And I am going pretty quick through this, hoping everyone's following. So here I'm in editor mode on the Confluence page. I'll go ahead and update it. And now I am in view mode on the Confluence page. I have my diagram here. Let's go ahead and jump into the big viewer mode here. So if I am a user who's scrolling through this page and I want to understand the new structure versus the current structure, I click on these icons and you can see it swaps between the two views. So that is what interactivity looks like in Glyphy. It does also work on the page, but because it's kind of big diagram, it's a little bit small for my liking there. Now, what this means is, in this case, we showed like a before and after or old and new. But the question we had earlier was, do you have any tips for how much detail should be included in a diagram? And that is also an awesome use case for this type of functionality. You can have the high level, and then you could add like a metadata layer that if an engineer wants to see all that data, they can toggle it on. But for the first person arriving at your page, if they're a marketer, that layer isn't on. You've just got the simple top layer, and then the additional data is available at a deeper click. Does that make sense? Hoping it does. All right, and so I'm seeing, so this can be helpful while comparing product views if we want to get feedback before building new UI. Yes, that's also a really cool use case for this. My team uses like Figma for some of those prototypes, but if you don't have access to a tool like that, you could absolutely do kind of like a wireframe. You click here, here's what it flows into. That type of a low fidelity walkthrough is absolutely possible with this feature. Cool. All right, we have a little bit of time left. Does anyone want to throw an AI request in? I'm going to do the riskiest thing ever and just kind of throw some live create with AI options in the diagram for us. To do this, I am going to go back into the edit mode of my Confluence page. I use the E keystroke as a shortcut there. And I've got one that is just ready to go right here. So we can do that, and then I'll get rid of my unpublished draft. And / Glyphy to launch into the editor. Cool. We'll do create. And our AI feature lives right here under these sparkles. I'm just going to paste this in. We'll click create diagram. It does take a little bit of time. All right, Rama, I have a question above. Don't remember if it was answered. Thank you. Scrolling on up. Is it possible to prompt Glyphy's AI using the content that's already existing on a wiki page? Not yet. I love where your head's at. I think that would be so helpful to have even like a recommended diagrams panel, where it knows, hey, on this page we have this type of data. What would it look like to generate a diagram based on what's shared there? So, Rama, awesome idea. Thank you. Appreciate the validation on some of our thinking. I'd be a bad product manager if I told you exactly when we were going to offer that, because you guys know plans change all the time. But really, really solid thinking there. And so then in this, I had a class diagram created. You can see we've got different elements of this screen recorder and the types of data that that's all going to capture. I see a new prompt: create a flow chart supporting the journey of a customer support ticket from creation through triage, routed to engineering, product management, or knowledge base, depending on type, and ending with customer being updated. Awesome. Let's see what we end up with from that one. Okay. This looks okay to me. So customer creates ticket, the ticket is triaged, and we say, okay, is this a technical topic, a product topic, or is it more related to our documentation? And then there are actions that follow it. I think this is pretty okay. But what if we want to make a change? Okay, and I'm seeing, yep, this gives me a start and allows me to get started. So here's my hack for you guys. I do not have the ability for you to, in this modal, say after the knowledge base is updated, I'd like there to be a approval process. We don't have like a back and forth that you can do with the AI quite yet. But my trick is I can take this code that was generated and copy paste, and we'll see how it does here. I'll say in the following diagram, please add a step after knowledge base updated called knowledge base approval. Or let's say KM team approval, maybe. And then I will paste that code in here and we'll create the diagram again and we'll see if it's able to handle that change appropriately. And so it sounds like this might actually be a, this might be splitting into 3 processes where you really do want something more tangled, which is fair. We can also have an option to have iterative prompting to optimize the output. Yes, great feature request. Definitely on our radar. What did we get here? Yeah, so in this, it did add that step. I don't know why it's green instead of orange. But you can see just kind of pasting that code back in and requesting a change did allow it to make a modification. So from here, oh, I've got the old one under there too. From here, I can either continue making changes in here, or I can click finish editing and convert this to a Glyphy diagram. Now I could say notify customer of change, or I could add different routing. So let's say I want these over here and I want to add an arrow because often product management actually reviews and then sends it over to the documentation team. And so you can see I went from that mermaid code into the classic Glyphy editing experience. Requires documentation. I can drag, drop, add my text, type to change the color. We can correct this one so that it's not this blue color. We can make it orange again. I didn't get my colors quite right on that, but you guys see the picture. And so all of this is a really great option where, again, instead of dragging and dropping out, what is that, 16 shapes, 14 shapes, and a bunch of arrows, just with the prompt, you're able to get started much more quickly. So yeah, I'm really excited about building in that conversational approach. Right now, the workaround is copying and pasting the code back and forth. Cool. Those are my biggest tricks. You guys have any other questions today?
I think people like the tricks that you show them, and for personally, if I say that DC uh, thing that was really helpful because still many organizations are on Atlassian DC at least for next 3 years. Once Atlassian move away from DC, but
Yeah,
that coding, mermaid coding, that was really helpful.
very cool. Yeah, I wish we could do AI on DC. It's kind of not possible.
Yes,
Yep.
and Atlassian has announced the sundown of DC. So in next 3 years, everyone would be on cloud.
Yep. Yep. I made my background the clouds for a reason.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone want to ask any questions, any queries, any comments?
Guys, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn in the chat and then also my email. And I don't know why I'm showing up as Sammy Kaufman here. I got married in June, so I have changed my name. So you'll see Sammy DeLebo moving forward. I am always happy to chat further. If you guys are trying these tips and tricks, talk through those use cases, how it's going for you. Obviously, there's interest in some stuff that I'm really interested in building, like that conversational or iterative editing style. So really happy to chat with you guys further on where you think these things can deliver value.
Yeah. Uh, so if I don't see any questions, I'll give back some time to everyone. And with this, I'll thank everyone for being such an amazing and engaging audience for today. And thanks to Sammy for sharing your expertise, sharing those tricks and tricks that we can definitely use. And as we wrap up, I encourage you to take what you have done today back to your teams, back, experiment with them. And if you have anything, reach out to Sammy. She might add some more tricks what we have tried till now. And on behalf of Greater Noida chapter, thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in our upcoming events. Next event is on 11th October. That's in person. Okay, Sankalp just shared one more idea.
Ooh, sometimes I already have a diagram which I would like to recreate with my new scenario. Can this take that up, screenshot or something, and create based on my new request? Sankalp, great question. We do not have the ability to take an image and pull that into code quite yet. I'm wondering if you could do it with OpenAI or ChatGPT. Um, the image to editable diagram is a really interesting angle. In almost all of these scenarios, mermaid or some type of diagram as code format tends to be kind of the mediator between, hey, we have this information, we're processing it, and then we're creating something visual. And so what I would try, I don't know if this will work. What I would try is taking an image of your old diagram, putting it into ChatGPT or a different tool, and asking if it can recreate it as mermaid code, then seeing how that mermaid code would render. Again, Not sure if it would work. That would just be how I would approach this problem first as a very AI curious person. And then on the other angle, like could Glyphy do it? Really interesting thought. I'll probably need to explore that more.
So Sankalp, we will be waiting for you to try this and sharing
Yeah.
your experience with all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks again. And until we meet again, stay safe, stay curious, and keep building amazing things with the Atlassian. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you guys.
Bye.